Greetings, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back. It is me once again, screaming into the void of the internet. Just wanted to come on here and know that title is not a lie. I know it's not clickbait. If anyone does care, obviously. I am screaming into the void after all. There's a high probability that I am going to be fired. And I'm not worried. I'm not really scared. I'm not going to cry or anything. I'm not going to beg for my job if I did lose my job. And I kind of wanted to talk about it because I mentioned it in previous videos, but essentially, the likelihood is I'm going to get fired because I apparently have too much time, and so I'm being paid too much for too much labor. The problem is, to simplify it in short, ever since that incident with the mail manager, where they did not only fire him, they fired several of the people in the kitchen in the back, right? We never had good workers again. Like, that was the last time that we actually had consistently decent staff for the back. Ever since then, we've had like garbage staff. They don't do their jobs. They don't do anything at all, and it has essentially fallen to me to essentially do the jobs of basically 2 to 3 different people there, right? And unfortunately, the people who, should be doing their job haven't done their jobs, and they keep their jobs, and this has been an ongoing issue for months on end. But for some reason, I guess like only now have they realized, oh my gosh, like there are several people that are, getting a whole bunch of overtime because it's almost like they have to cover for other people. And oddly enough, it's like they're aware that this is a multifaceted issue because it's not just me that has like a whole bunch of overtime. It's several workers. It's all the workers that are consistent because you have people that are basically scheduled for 30 hours and they're only showing up for 8 to 10. So I don't even know how they're even employed by any means, but yeah, uh, they've had this talk with several people, and I've been overhearing it, and it's just, yeah, I think that I'm not gonna make it because all it really takes is just one night where, say, we get a truck and it's been really slow, so the closing is very slow, and now all of a sudden I have too much overtime, and so boom, fired. Or like we have to do a deep clean, too much overtime, boom, fired. So I'm not very hopeful that I'm going to be able to keep the job. And it does suck because the job itself may have its stresses, but it's still like decent pay, like really decent pay, like probably like some of the best pay that you can find for a beginner job. But it does have its problems. And if the problem is basically that we're going to take the workers who are good and we're going to punish those workers while keeping the workers who literally do not show up, then yeah, I just have the opinion that it's just a sign in a certain aspect, like, because if I do get fired, because I might not, but if I do get fired, then what I'm going to do is I'm obviously still going to be looking for work, right? I've already begun looking for work again. Like, I was applying to like at least 15 different jobs while I was like waiting to go home today. And what I'm probably going to do is just take a month to just not really care if I get hired or not. Instead of like kind of just hyper looking for work, I'll just take a month off, really just try and see if this leg issue can get sorted out. Because next month I will be able to go see the doctor and I'll be able to know like if this foot issue is going to be permanent. And I think it just kind of goes to show that like I work so hard to the point where like I've basically become chronically, you know, I've developed a chronic issue with my foot. But apparently, like I'm the problem. It's not the job, it's the worker. And it's not like I'd be able to sue because even if I had money, like let's just real lawyers are higher, and I'm sure that there's something in the fine print saying that it's my fault or some nonsense. So you know, it's just one of the things where it's just there's this idea that you have a choice when it comes down to like work and stuff like that, or that there aren't enough good workers, and it's just like, well, the good workers apparently get punished because you have to pay them because they're actually doing a job, and you keep bad workers who don't show up, and you talk about how you're understaffed, and it's not necessarily just in one industry; it's in all of these industries. You wonder how they keep their their jobs, and I'm sorry if you hear that. That's just my roommate. Don't know what he's doing up right now, but it just gets to a point where you have to decide that there is nothing that I can do to change this outcome. You know what I mean? Like, there's nothing at all that I can do to sway these people's minds, and I'm not going to fall into this pit of oh, please, 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 you have to hire me. I need my. I'm not gonna cry. And why? Because I'm a bachelor. Number one. I don't have anyone relying on me but me. I am my own hero, and trust me, I have saved quite a bit of money. I can live for months at one end with what I've saved. I've already bought my motorcycle. I've bought like all of the super expensive things that I want. And the main reason I want to keep the job is because of the amount of savings that I want it by the end of the year, but I don't really think that that is going to be feasible now. So I don't know. It's just it's insane that like you're the good worker, but you get punished. You're the bad worker, you do it. Like it's just one of the many things where it kind of just goes into the black pill as a whole, because it's like this is the corporate setting. Like the worker who does nothing. Like the CEO who's like ordering everyone. He's doing literally nothing most of the time, right? He's just doing like the management and stuff like that, making sure that the quotas are met. This cocksucker is getting the largest pay cut, right? You're the one that's actually doing work. And I've been around. Okay, I've been around. I've worked, manual jobs. I've worked in office settings. I've worked all kinds of places, and it's just the same crap. Where the cocksucker who is ordering everyone around is working the least. He gets paid the most, and you're the one busting your balls, and you get into a position like this where apparently you're working too much. It's just, I don't know. It just really does seem like the goal is just always to just be a crap worker, manipulate your way around the company and stuff like that. And it's just, I don't know. It's funny to me. But regardless, I don't really care what happens. Like if I lose the job, then whatever. Hopefully I can get hired in something else that is a bit easier on the foot at this point. Because I don't know. I just feel like knowing my luck, it probably will be chronic. And it's hilarious. I've literally lost the ability to run, to jump, to climb well. But clearly, I guess I'm the problem. But it doesn't really matter to me because, like I said, I am black gold. So what choice do you really have? You could just not work. You'll see how long that lasts. Like we don't have the option to just go be with somebody. That's not our world. So we have to be our own heroes. We have to save ourselves regardless. And I am going to save myself. So I don't really see this as a bad thing. If I do get fired, I will keep you informed. I'll let you know. If I did, then so be it. At worst, what I might end up doing, really don't want to, but I might move back to where I came from. Because up here, like if worst case scenario happens, right, and it's just really hard to find work, everything's so spread apart that it's like if I needed to use Uber to get around, it can get way too expensive. At least like if I was back in the city, I have buses and stuff like that. So it is a city here, but the city's so large that everything's too far. So yeah, but I will keep you guys informed. I kind of just wanted to be, upfront and honest and stuff with you guys because I love y'all. You guys are pretty solid. And I don't just mean it in the parasocial relationship. I think that, for some reason, there's a lot of you guys that you're willing to be open with me. And so I try and, give that back to you. Be as open as possible. If I'm going through it, I'll be honest. If I'm not going through it, I'll be honest. If I'm at my highs, I'll be honest. If I'm at my lows, I'll be honest. And trust me, I don't see losing a job as a low. Don't get too attached to a job. Let's be real. I'm a cog in a machine, and they will easily, air quotes, replace me. They won't. Okay, they will have someone in that position, but that doesn't mean that they will be doing anywhere near the amount of stuff that I was doing. So, yeah. But just wanted to be honest and let you guys know about that. I will keep you informed. Don't know for sure, but we'll see. So yeah, that's all I wanted to really share with you guys. And I just wanted to remind you guys that, as always, there is life beyond your pain. You have to endure these bad days to enjoy the good days, Trust me. Yeah, I don't really think today was a bad day, but I do think it's just, just one of those things where it's just like, yeah, sure, the good person's getting punished, what new? No good deed goes unpunished in this world. Here's just kind of how it is. God bless. I'll see you next time.